Only done. Not moving. No.
Hello, my name is Vikas Pota. The reason why we're organizing this global showcase for World Education Week is we believe that schools have incredible expertise in making sure that learning outcomes improve. Given the state of the world, we want to see the expertise from this particular school being replicated in schools all over our planet so that the world becomes better for everyone. That is why I congratulate this school for what it does and hope that those listening can take away conclusions as to how they should actually approach their own improvement journeys. Thank you all for participating, and I look forward to seeing you in many of the other events this coming week. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for supporting this incredible work, without whom we couldn't have put together this global showcase. Thank you, and I wish you well for this event.
Fast-paced social, economic, and technology-driven change is redefining our world. And having a broad range of skills, such as creativity and problem-solving, has become far more important than being able to memorize information. To redefine how our children learn and to empower them for the future, parents, teachers, and policymakers must stop overlooking a powerful part of the solution: learning through play. Play is the rocket fuel of child development, and there is a growing body of evidence to support that play is fundamental for children's positive growth and well-being over time. It is also an essential way to foster the skills required to thrive in today's world. The LEGO Foundation aims to build a future in which learning through play empowers children to become creative, engaged, lifelong learners. To do so, we work with a range of partners around the world to change the hearts and minds of all of those who influence children's lives through our programs, research, and advocacy, so they can all embrace the transformative power of play. Examples of what we do include making sure that caregivers, practitioners, and policymakers understand the importance of play, investigating, testing, and scaling new ways to bring play-based learning into homes and schools, using play to help millions of the world's most vulnerable children cope with adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress, or conducting research with some of the world's leading research institutions. Please visit our website and follow us on social media to learn more.
Language connects us all. It's how friendships are formed, ideas are shared, and lessons are learned. Language is how we find understanding and express love. It's how we communicate our successes, both big and small. It lays the groundwork for learning and growth. And for an increasingly diverse student population, it can be the key to achievement in school and beyond. That's why Rosetta Stone Education is dedicated to language and literacy. We offer solutions designed to support teachers and their emergent bilingual students, recognizing and celebrating the knowledge, culture, and languages they bring to our classrooms. Our products are founded on the adaptive blended learning model for individual needs, continuous progress monitoring for better learning outcomes, and culturally responsive pedagogies for more inclusive classrooms. With solutions aligned with proficiency standards, we support language learning while exploring academic subject areas, paving the way to better outcomes. Because for all of us, language is everything.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We all hope you're doing really well. We are from the Riverside School in Ahmedabad, India, and we are really excited to be part of the World Edu Week. Hashtag World Edu Week. Today, we have in store for you 3 super amazing yet super easy hacks that will make our curriculum a little more humane and our community a little bit kinder. So, let us begin. But Nandana, you forgot about the jar of positivity. Oh, I'm sorry. Today, let us begin on a little positive note by filling up this jar of positivity. I would like all of you to write your name and one word that starts with the first letter of your name in the chat box that you think is really positive. For example, my name is Nandana and one positive word for me is notice.
My name is Kahal and one positive word that suits my name is kind.
Along with the two of us, we have Meera ma'am, whose word is marvelous, and Kiran ma'am, who I'm sorry but I cannot describe in one adjective. She is just amazing. So, while you all are filling up your jar of positivity, I am going to now hand it over to Kiran ma'am to take you forward.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful World Education Week and for coming to join our webinar. And of course, these super amazing facilitators along with me. My name is Kiran Sethi. I am the founder of this Riverside School in Ahmedabad, India, as well as a global movement called Design for Change. This has been a long 20 years and a lot of lessons we have learned over these years about what is it that makes learning happen, how do we nurture the heart and the mind. So we are super thrilled to be able to share with you 3 simple hacks. 3 simple hacks that we wish and hope that you can take back into your wonderful schools. All right, without much ado, since we have just 1 hour to make 20 years collapse in 1 hour, I would like to give you a little glimpse about the school. My foray into education actually started because of my son. I am a designer by profession. And I remember when he was 6 years old, he'd gone to school and I went to meet his teacher. And I remember being confronted by this teacher's face that was so completely disinterested in my son. I remember asking her, tell me about him, tell me what his stories are, who his friends are, what does he like to do? And she looked at me and said, what is his roll number? And just like that, in that instant, my son didn't even have a name. He didn't have a story, and he just became a statistic of the nation of India. Well, that day I took him out of school, but what was I to do next? So I think as a mother, I reacted to this crisis, a system that stripped a child of identity, humanity, and purpose. But as a designer, I responded to the opportunity. As Gandhiji once said, you are who you've been waiting for. And since I didn't come from education, don't tell anybody that, I had the luxury of asking the question, what if? So the question of what if is, what if the purpose of education really was to craft identity, to build belief systems, to unlock purpose and nurture empathy? Consider this. If we are born human by chance, can education play a role to make us humane by choice? Well, hope was not the strategy, ladies and gentlemen. So when I started my school in 2001, this pretty much became the quest. Over the last 20 years, the team at Riverside has designed processes and practices to craft a humane curriculum, to intentionally plant seeds of the 5 E's that make us humane. So what are these 5 seeds? The first seed is empathy, the idea of the understanding of who I am and the understanding of the other because of who I am. That's empathy. The second is ethics, just the ability to keep figuring out what to do, what is right over what is easy. Excellence, the pursuit of quality and engagement. Elevation, the idea that we're not here to compete with each other, but we're here to complete each other's stories and build a mindset of abundance. And then, of course, evolution, the idea that we're always a work in progress. You know, the growth mindset that I am better than yesterday, but less than tomorrow. Well, the result of this was amazing. We stood back and watched the magic unfold because our children had co-created this learning journey with us through client projects, mastery portfolios, service learning, and community engagement. All of this towards just one simple goal: to graduate young citizens who will action their agency for the greater good. We call this the I Can mindset. And of course, once we knew this was working at Riverside, it had to go beyond. So in 2009, we distilled the same magic 5 E's into a 4-step simple formula to unleash this I Can mindset in all children. We call this FIDS for kids: the feel, imagine, do, share. So as you can see, it's the same idea of empathy. In the feel, we get children to observe their environment and identify what bothers them. Then imagine, we get them to brainstorm solutions with the user for the better good of the solution or the situation they have encountered. And then do, of course, not just imagine it, but put it into action, right? So actually engage and put their solution into work. And then finally share. My favoriteest part of it all, to share their story of change so that they can inspire others to say, I can. Well, the result of this is every time a child experienced being the change, they were changed forever. Today, children in over 70 countries are using this magic FIDS formula to change the bad and make it good with the power of their ideas. Right from stopping child marriage to reducing the weight of their school bags, from caring for the elderly or stopping even bullying. Children are telling us that they don't have to be rich or strong or even 18 to make change happen. But at the end of it, why is this message so important for our children? Well, it tells them that the little corner of the world that they inhabit can be made more beautiful, more just, and more equal. And more importantly, it tells them that they cannot be just mere spectators of change. They can be the initiators, participants, and overseers. And there is no more urgent time than now to get our children's voice to be heard. But ladies and gentlemen, this does not happen by chance. It has to happen by design. So I am excited that you have joined us today to see some of these design hacks and explore whether this is great for your school as well. So without much ado, hack number 1 is on your way. May I invite Kahan Agarwal, a young 12-year-old, to talk to you about buddy interaction. Over to you, Kahan.
Hi everyone, I'm Kahan and I'm 12 years old. My hobbies are cooking, playing video games, and doing coding. My superpower is being Captain Logic. So let's start on this first hack, buddy interaction. Now, what is buddy interaction? Buddy interaction is the process in which two buddies meet up and build a relationship. The whole idea behind buddy interaction is to create a community and create a safe space where the buddies can share their thoughts and emotions. The key for buddy interaction is that it's an equal partnership. Both the buddies are giving back to the community and both the buddies are learning something. So let's see a small glimpse on how buddy interaction used to happen pre-COVID.
You will tell me what is buddy interaction. Yes, Rani.
Buddy interaction is when we pair up with our elder buddies, key state 2 and key state 3. So we do many fun things, many activities with them.
Okay, and just once you do?
Every month. When we meet different people, we come to know them, and that's why only we know most of the people. Otherwise, we would only know our teachers, our classmates, and some other people from other.
Our body, like we care of our bodies, but our body also cares of us. That's like my small brother.
So now that you've seen that video, that must have been a very short glimpse. That was because we used to meet all the time. We would meet in our buses where we would interact formally, in our snack breaks, all the time. Now that we have moved online, there is a need to actually do body interaction. So, ladies and gentlemen, we at Riverside School are proud to present this exclusive online avatar for body interaction. So the whole idea, another idea for in the online body interaction is that there is somebody for everybody. So our first process for body interaction is squads. Now in squads, you can just meet up. There will be it's the whole school, and there are some students from each grade who just meet up and then they just discuss about how things are going in real life. So right now there is the IPL going on. We can talk about that. We can talk about movies. Now the second form of buddy interaction is by buddy pairs. Now as the name suggests, buddy pairs is when we pair up with somebody in our school and they are our buddy for the whole year. And we just do the same thing with them. We tell them stories. So for example, my buddy Zita, who is in pre-kindergarten right now, I told her stories and we played games and puzzles. We did drawing together. So that is one form for doing buddy interaction. Now our third form is the alumni circles. So the alumni circles, again, as the name suggests, is when the alumni of the school actually come and build a relationship with the students. So for example, my buddy Audi he taught us about cyber safety. He played online games with us, and he also told us a bit about his career. Now this is the fourth form, my personal favorite one, the Spark Plugs. So the Spark Plugs is a student agency where students get the opportunity of sharing their perspective and their hobbies and ideas with the class, the key stage in the school. So recently I took a Spark Plug on cooking where I taught grade 4 students how to make Mexican food, and in the second session I taught them how to make cake pops and burgers. Now ladies and gentlemen, again we have 5 more exclusive tips for you to make your buddy interaction a bit better. So the 5 tips are, first one being, you have to timetable for buddy interaction. That means that you have to give buddy interaction equal value as any other subject. So we have the buddy pair interaction every fortnight, we have the alumni meet every fortnight, and we have the Spark Plugs every week. Our second tip for you is know your buddy's story, basically doing the pre-work. Now, when you know what your buddy likes and where your buddy comes from, you will be able to plan better. So, for example, if I know my buddy loves to draw and to listen to music, I would plan my session accordingly. I wouldn't bring puzzles for her because that's not something she likes. Buddy interaction is all about having fun and building a relationship. Our third tip is always start with a smile. You should always start on a good note to make sure your session is good. Our fourth tip for you is always have a plan B and co-create the session. Now the plan B tip comes really handy in the Spark Plugs. So one example for the plan B is, so in my Spark Plug where we were making cake pops, my chocolate didn't melt. So my mom immediately helped me and we took out the Hershey's chocolate syrup and used that as a substitute for the melted chocolate. Now co-creation means that at the end of every buddy interaction, you should just take 5 minutes out to plan out your next buddy interaction. That way you will know your buddy's choice and the buddy might have more fun. Now our fifth tip, I think it's the most important one, is that the only agenda is relationships, relationships and relationships. I hope you like these tips and they will come in handy for you.
Now, I would like to pass it on to our next speaker, Meera ma'am.
Thank you so much, Kahan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Meera, and I'm so happy to represent Riverside at the World Edu Week. I have been with Riverside for more than a decade, and every year teaches me something new. The process that I'm going to share about is something I enjoy a lot. It's like the home visit is like a virtual hug, and it allows the teacher to know the complete story of the child because you get to meet the child at home along with his or her family. Before I share the online avatar, let me show you how home visits happened in pre-COVID times.
Home visit is an integral part of Riverside processes. The purpose being that it is an opportunity where the teacher goes to every child's home and understands him or her in his or her own setting. It also becomes a wonderful time to bond with the parents because it's a one-on-one time in their space and they have a feeling of ease in sharing whatever their questions, concerns, or any insights that they have about the child.
From a parent perspective, what's the most important? The kind of interest and effort teachers put in. And I always observed that not one, I mean, at least 2 or 3 teachers do turn up so that one can interact with parents, other can interact with kids, see what stuff the child is doing. So I think this is really interesting.
That's how Riverside has been doing home visits for over 20 years. But how this process came about is also an inspiring story. I would like to invite Kiran ma'am to share how the home visit process and its origin story.
Thanks, Meera. Home visit and the reason for it is probably one of the most humbling experiences that I've had in the last 20 years. The idea of the home visit possibly started, I think, as early as the first year. I mean, teachers being teachers, we always think we know everything about our children and we have these snap judgments that we make. I remember the story of my Zeal. She was all of, I think, in grade 1, so 7 or 8 years old. And one day I happened to be speaking to her and asked her, Zeal, what do you do when you go back home? Don't you play, etc.? And she said, no, okay, ma'am, I don't get to play at night. When I go back home. And immediately this righteous anger came up to say, what do you mean you don't go to play? And immediately, the wheels start churning and you start thinking about what kind of parents there are. Don't you have any kind to play? Shouldn't they care for the kid? And I remember speaking then to Pina, her mother, and I said, Pina, what is this? I mean, how come Zeal is not playing at home? And she told me, she said, Kiran, ek baar ghar pe aao. Basically, she said, one day you just come home and understand. So I went and it was amazing. I realized that Zeal stayed in this rather tall building, which was very congested. There was no space to play. It was right on the main road. And when I walked into the home, I just saw, of course, a home filled with love and laughter. But there were just 12 people living in that 1 or 2 rooms. And I thought to myself, my God, how easy it is for us to just label our parents and our children and make these judgments. And I can't be more grateful to Pina and Zeal for giving me a great dose of empathy and humility to realize if we understand our families and our children, we'll be able to serve them so much better. And that's really how home visits became a process at Riverside. Over to you, Meera.
Thank you so much, Kiran ma'am, for sharing that story. As you can see, home visits are an opportunity to build empathy, which is the core of the HumanE curriculum. So ladies and gentlemen, let me unpack virtual home visits for you. Here are 5 quick and easy tips on how to do a virtual home visit. Step 1. There is pre-work to be done by the teachers. There is already an admission form that is available in school. So a good idea is to read up the form, know the details and anecdotes about the family. Knowing details and walking in prepared shows the parents that you're really interested and it builds a bond for the entire year. What you also need to do is send a schedule a week in advance, which suits both your timings and the parents' timing for when you can meet for the e-meeting. Step 2, always go as teacher pairs. When I went with my home co-teacher, we both planned from before who is going to have the conversations and who is going to take the notes. These notes become fuel for how you're going to design the sessions later. We do this together so we can support each other. Step 3, always start on time. In fact, when we're doing it online, we would log in 5 minutes early just to check if everything is working or not. Being on time is showing them that you are interested, and it's also very, very professional. Having 3 personal starter prompts is also a superb idea. I would always start with how you're doing, how is work, connecting it to what information I got from the admission form. I would share my story of how I'm doing, how online is, and how I'm coping. The whole idea is to laugh a lot, smile, share. It is to create a space of comfort and making them feel welcome. The fourth step is to keep the conversation informal, warm, and yet professional. Okay, meet the whole family when you do the virtual home visit. Share anecdotes of what you have learned about the child when you've seen him or her in your class. Here it is helpful to have a list of questions that you want to ask for all the data you want to collect and all the insights you want to gather. For example, you want to know about family time, what do they do as a family, how do they schedule their day, when do they make time for each other, what do they do for fun, does the child have any allergies that you need to know about? As parents, what are their aspirations and hopes for their child? All this becomes data which helps us to design our sessions later. For example, if I find out that a child loves sports and has difficulty sitting down in one place, I will ensure that there is movement in a session online. If I learn that a child loves origami and making things, I will make space, I will create a session where he or she can share her talent with her peers. After final goodbyes, what we do as teachers is we go for a virtual tour of the house. We meet everyone. We want to definitely see where the child is sitting to study, what kind of environment is the child studying in. Step number 5, send a follow-up mail in 48 hours with the points discussed. Everything that you have taken notes about what you have discovered in the home visit, you kind of collate it, you put down all the insights you have gathered, and you also share strategies that you have co-created with the family. This kind of reiterates the partnership for the whole year. In fact, this year, I can share a story from this year itself that I had. One child in my class, very quiet, does not talk much. We had to kind of initiate the conversation. She would not bother with speaking. Only when we speak to her, she speaks. So I was a little worried and wondering why she's so quiet. And then I found the magic in the home visit. So I was worried that this kid is lonely and she has no one to talk to, but that turned out to be not true. In the home visit, I met her grandmother, who she's immensely close to. She talks to her grandmother non-stop and she shares all kinds of things with her grandmom. In fact, anything that she doesn't want to share with her own parents, her grandmother knew. So this information kind of helped me plan for her ahead. In fact, when I wanted her to do something and I knew that she's going to say no to me, I called up her grandmother and said, can you convince her to do this for me? So this became a super way for me to bond with this girl. Because the grandmother now trusted me, immediately this child opened up to me and is now this is 3 months online this year, and she's more open, she's more participative, and she's so much more trusting. That's one story from online this year. Personally, I love to meet people. I love to, it gives me a lot of joy to interact with all kinds of people. That is my superpower. I am a people person. It's like receiving a surprise birthday gift, which you unpack and you never know what is going to come out or who you're going to meet. So that was all for me from home visits. The 5 tips that I talked about, just to sum it up, was to do pre-work, to go prepared, to always go as teacher pairs, to support each other, to be on time, have conversation starters, keep the conversation informal yet warm and professional, and do send that follow-up mail to reiterate the partnership for the whole year. Thank you so much. That is all from me. Now I would like to hand it over to Nandana, who's going to unpack the next hack for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meera ma'am. I am really looking forward to sharing with all of you our hack number 3, citizenship. So, citizenship is basically taking an issue that is really bothering us and trying to find a solution towards it. Like Kiran ma'am mentioned earlier, in Riverside, we believe in balancing the growth of our mind as well as our heart. And therefore, citizenship is a great chance to become more empathetic and nurture our empathy. And along with that, also trust ourselves to be the change and be changed. So that was the relevance of citizenship. Now I'm going to show you a quick video of what citizenship used to be like pre-COVID.
The vision of Riverside is to create the best school for the world and not just in the world. Education is not all about content. It is about doing good as well as doing well. So right from grade 3, we start with this whole idea of citizenship.
So citizenship for me is when you add value to your society and make it better the way you want it. 26.
It is not easy to see them go through this experience of actually making the incense sticks. It's a dark and dingy place where they are all sitting cramped up. But when the child goes through that experiential learning, I see them building empathy and having gratitude for their own lives. I'm really proud that I'm creating citizens who are changing the world.
All right, so now you know what citizenship used to be like and why we need citizenship, which means that even when 6 months ago our schooling shifted to online, we could not stop citizenship because you just can't stop being empathetic no matter where you are. Which meant that we had to ensure that we continue our citizenship and timetable it. Therefore, I am really proud to present to you 4 COVID exclusive ways to do citizenship. The first way to do this is by the volunteer program. The volunteer program before COVID used to be volunteer, where we would go to places, meet up with people, play games with them. And now when we're online, we're not stopping. We have turned volunteer into volunteer. For example, my older buddies used to go to the old age homes and play with all our grandmothers and grandfathers who were there. We played games, sung songs with them, but now they can't go there anymore. Therefore, on every Saturday, they FaceTime with all the people at the old age home. They play games with them, they sing songs to them, they play puzzles, basically the same thing except using a phone. This way, the grandparents continue to feel welcome. The second way is the Muskan program. Muskan is a Hindi word which means smile. And as the name suggests, the aim of this program is to bring smiles to our support team of our buses and our school. So, while working online, we sent them videos that talked about songs, game, yoga, but most importantly, to check on their health and give them awareness of how to best stay safe in this COVID-19 pandemic. Along with which, we also requested doctors to come in and talk to our support staff, tell them about what is good to do and what is not good to do. Another great way to practice character is the Teach and Reach program. This is where we buddied with TFI and other schools and created teaching modules for that school. For example, some of our classes have buddied with schools in Kashmir, and we are creating teaching learning material that is both engaging and yet delivers the content in the best possible way. The fourth way to practice citizenship, one of my favorite, is the outreach projects. This is a project personal to a group of students from a particular class. For example, my classmates had done something called the Let It Go project. We were really worried about people who are in so much mental stress during this pandemic. We created a simple 1-week happiness program that you can follow to become a little bit happier in the pandemic. Along with which, we were also worried about the stray animals and caring for them, which is why we set up food banks. Food banks are where animals can access food throughout the day, which makes them feel more welcome. These four are just few out of lots of ways in which you can be a little bit kinder and a little more empathetic. This citizenship project also needed a lot of planning because we had to ensure that we timetable it in the best possible way. In a week, we have one Wednesday dedicated only to citizenship, which means 4 opportunities in a month to make our hearts grow. The first Wednesday is always dedicated to planning. What are we going to do through the month and what do we want to achieve? The second Wednesday is spent on getting inspired. We call in people who really know about this topic so that they can give us a little bit more information. For example, my class had Nupur ma'am come and talk to us about hunger, which is what we were working towards. The third week is spent on shout-outs and reflections. We celebrate each other for the good work that we are doing. For example, I once got a shout-out because I had made good quality posters that spread awareness properly. We also do reflection, where we decide some prompts that will help us think. For example, one prompt that we quite commonly follow is, what have I learned about myself from this process and how do I think my behavior could be a little bit better? The week 4 is studying our impact. We call in people who the program was actually dedicated to so that we can actually understand how we have made a little difference in their lives. And of course, step 5, repeat this the next month. This process has it's not only growing our hearts, but there are several things this process is helping me do. Personally, for me, by being enrolled in the citizenship program, I have created a belief system in myself, which empowers me and keeps telling me to believe that yes, I can create change. Lots of people keep telling us children that you are the future of your nation. But why do we have to be the future? We are here today. No matter where we are, what age we are, which gender we are, we can create change. Another thing that the citizenship program teaches us is to be grateful. We are all so privileged and sometimes we just don't realize it. So the citizenship program is telling us to be grateful and not complain. Complaining means that you're basically kind of being helpless, that you're asking others to do something for you. Instead, you can do it yourself. Stop complaining and start thinking of the solution. And the fourth thing that citizenship is helping me with is being persistent. Sometimes we have taken an idea and we fail in it. But that doesn't mean we should give up on the idea. You might not like it, but don't give up because you know that this idea is for the good. Like I said, everybody has a little need to be more kind. And the citizenship program has helped me do so. I hope these hacks and tips have been more helpful to you and that you can enroll yourself in the citizenship program as well. Thank you. Now I will hand it back over to Kiran ma'am for Q&A. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much, rock stars, superheroes. I think I can happily retire now. Yes. All right. So thank you so much to Nandana to share about the citizenship hack. We really feel that the online hacks that have been created are super simple to take into your own context. I think one thing that COVID has possibly taught us that it has evened out the entire sort of globe. It's basically given us all the same possibilities and the same challenges. And I think for us and the World Edu Week to be able to share and learn from each other has been possibly the need of the hour. And I have actually been, sort of entering a lot of the sessions over the last couple of days, and I am so deeply humbled. For the first time, I keep calling y'all edu heroes. You're no less than, the essential workers that have got the sort of respect that the world has given. For the first time, teachers have got that, and that is such a heartening moment for all of us. So thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for being amazing. We will be, of course, putting a lot of these resources into the chat box. So we've made a small little poster with each of our hacks and the simple tips. Please feel free to test it and try it, contextualize it for your own setups. And if you do put it into your schools, please make sure that you reach out back to us to be able to share how you experience this. Well, we've got a couple of questions that we would like to address. If I can have my two facilitators back with me, because I think y'all are going to be the ones who would respond. Thank you very much. Yes, what is our first question?
The first question is, what if I want to start Buddy in my school? Would you help us?
What if we wanted to start Buddy in the school? Would you help? So Kahan, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. So Buddy interaction is a very simple process.
Okay, what I'm going to do, just to make it better, I'm going to put my mask so you can remove it and respond. Yes.
So Buddy interaction is a very simple process, and we can be willing to help. Buddy interaction, you just have to assign pairs, and then you just have to let the magic happen. You can use this breakout rooms feature on Zoom, and you can use the planning, and you can share these tips with the students and ask them to do the pre-work, ask them to read up on the milestones, ask them to know their buddy, ask the buddy class teachers, and yeah, just that.
But Kahan, would you like to say that the spark plug would be the easiest?
Yeah, I would say the spark plug would be the easiest, and that way it's reaching out to more people as well, more students. And in spark plug, they just have to, once they get the format, they just have to decide who's conducting. The teachers just look at the plans once, and then they just have to again make the groups, and it's done.
Super. Thank you. Any additional points, Nandana, do you feel you need to add, or do you think Kahan has kind of addressed it?
Covered it?
Fantastic, Kahan. Super duper for you. You get it. Whew. Okay, next question.
Any tips on how to start a buddy group virtually?
Oh, I think just like Kahan said, a great way to start it is breakout rooms. I think use the facility of breakout rooms. So even if you have a grade of 40, the ability to put them into smaller groups would be really, really easy. Similarly, you could have your older buddies become pairs into the breakout room. So I also know some schools have asked me, but I have 2,000 children. How do I manage a buddy interaction with 2,000 children? Well, you don't really need to go to that one-on-one, but you can definitely do these circles. So kind of like the advisory circles or the squads. We think the squads between and across grades is such a neat idea. It's just like as if you were traveling in the bus together. So it's like it's like a group of the children who would be in the bus, have them meet each other in the breakout rooms. You could also do it like a recess. Remember the recess that we don't have anymore? Well, the recess is a great idea to have children informally meet each other with no agenda except relationships. Thank you for that. Question number 3.
How do you manage to get the students so excited about their buddies despite the age gap between them?
How do we get children excited about the buddies with this age gap? So you both have buddies with pre-kindergarten. That means you're a 12-year-old with a buddy who is 3.5-year-old. May I have any tips from you? Yes. So Nandana, take it on.
Yeah, definitely. So I think what makes us and our buddies really look forward to the interaction is that we both know that it's going to be another great interaction where we have taken care of both the interests of the buddies. I think, as Kahan said, it is really important to know what your buddies like so that they actually want to do what you have planned and that they enjoy it and look forward to more. Another thing to do is co-creation. That is really important because that will allow, so take turns. One time the older buddies design the session, the next time try and make the younger buddies design the session. This way they will take more ownership for it as well.
I say, such wisdom and so young, what do I do? But another thing really important to understand, the buddy is not it's not a relationship of hierarchy. It really is a relationship of equity. So whilst your younger buddy might not necessarily be teaching you anything like, say, a skill or maybe a content piece, but I am telling you, Mr. Kahan was telling me he's learned patience, which is a massive attitude. The idea that he had to really do plan B, slow down, make Zida really kind of engage with him was a really learning. So while Kahan was possibly teaching Zida games and stories, etc., Zida was in fact teaching Kahan the valuable skill of patience. Lovely. Yes. Any other question?
Lots have come in right now. So what an incredible idea. Just one question. How long does a typical buddy interaction last?
How long does a typical buddy interaction last? I leave it to Kahan to answer.
So a typical buddy interaction lasts about 40 minutes, which is 30 minutes of actually interacting with your buddy and 10 minutes just for shout outs and reflections. And if you're doing the spark plugs, around 45 minutes for the session and then 15 minutes for a reflection.
Wow. So you're saying that the buddy interaction per se, and you'll do it 4 times in the month, so twice, Alumni, etc. So you're saying around, and I loved what you had said earlier, Kahan and both Nandana, you said that we give the same value for buddy, citizenship, etc., just as you would do for math or science. It's not that the math and the science gets the pride of place, but it's also equally important to grow the heart. Okay, next question.
How are you advancing these hacks in COVID?
Meera, would you like to take the how are we advancing these hacks during COVID times? I'll leave that to Meera to take the question.
Thank you so much, Kiran ma'am. I think what we are doing is the skeleton of what we're trying to do is already in place. The 20 years that Riverside has already built for us is there. So we just had to modify it a bit. Of course, we had to upskill a lot very fast because we were doing everything with technology. We were not equipped, but we learned very quickly. We kept the same ingredients of all these processes and we worked ahead with that. And every single time we learned, we were all the time, Kiran ma'am calls Riverside a lab all the time. You know, it's not a school. It's a place where we test things, we try things, we get student voice in, we get parent voice in, we kind of include everybody in this journey and see how to take it forward. It's never only about what Kiran ma'am wants to do or the teachers want to do. It's about including all the partners. So it's been a journey where we have been learning together.
Thank you, Meera. Another piece that I would like to really add, and the word that keeps coming back, is co-creation. Iteration is a massive mindset to have. The ability to understand that you're always prototyping and you're refining. So to have an iterative mindset or to build that culture allows you to be really comfortable with uncertainty. So you don't really have to have all the answers, and that's really perfectly okay. So the idea to slow down, to iterate, to get the user voice in the iteration has been really our go-to formula. Yes, next question.
Kids are super aware. How do you do that?
Kids are super aware. Do you want to take it?
Definitely. We are, as Kiran ma'am said, we are only aware of all this that is happening because we are part of the co-creation and the creation of these processes. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I think belief systems come from your worldview, right? What you're experiencing, what you understand, what you mimic, and what you see. So I think a lot of the focus we've done is about building culture, the humane culture, which we keep talking about, and the team. I have the best team in the world, and so as you're aware, the neuroscience that tells you that when children are young, they typically mimic. You've got your mirror neurons, and they're going to mimic whatever they see. So if our children have the opportunity to be able to see this wonderful team, live out the promise of what agency looks like, what compassion looks like, what kindness looks like. It's so easy to mimic that. So I keep saying that whilst you might need a PhD to teach chemistry, you do not need that to smile and give a hug, to tell a child that they can. So I think we are living curriculums. We are a living syllabus. Everything that we do, our body, our mind, our smiles. Unfortunately, with this, you can't see our smile as much. So I do not know what we will have to deal with once we come back. But getting our children's voice into the learning journey is this. I just have to rest. I am absolutely retiring after this 1 hour, so I'm okay. Next question.
And the last question.
Last question
is, how do you handle technological glitches during online sessions?
Does anybody have an answer?
Yes.
Okay.
So, technological glitches, the most common technological glitch that we face every single day is internet issues. And if students have internet issues, all the material used in class, every instruction of how to follow, and the PPT, the teachers post it in our Google Classroom. Which means that if I have not been able to attend the session, I can just open my classroom and it will have everything from what we did in the start to how we finished and what BA I have or what homework I have to do.
Yes.
So another one is that if you just start the meeting 5-10 minutes early and the students can just join in at that time, you might have some additional time to figure out the technical glitches before the session starts. That way you're not eating into any study time.
I say, Meera, I think we've pretty much done it. Yes, Meera, any?
No, I wanted to share about the idea of office hours, which we did not do before. So one of them can share about it, Kiran ma'am, Kahan or Nandana, how that helps if you miss the session.
Let me take that question.
All right.
When we talk about technological issues, I mean, it's probably, I think COVID has also highlighted the inequity that exists. And I think that's a whole different webinar by itself. But wherever possible, I think the plan Bs, like we keep talking about, are something that you need to intentionally plan for. Like Nandana says, everything is housed on, say, a repository, like whatever your LMS system is, whether it's Google Classroom or anything else. Like Kahan suggests, come in earlier, figure out all those little glitches. We did a lot of upskilling and understanding that since we were not necessarily a tech-savvy team, we had a lot of our parents actually become our coaches. And of course, our kids. I mean, my older kids literally have been saviors. So I think one thing that we learned very, very easily is that anybody can be a teacher and anybody can be a learner. And I think when you open up that and really democratize that idea of learning, then you're never kind of far from asking for help and understanding that that's possibly a place to go. Yes, things will give up. We've had issues with net, with bandwidth, with whatever, but we try to use everything else, the WhatsApp, the audio message. We will give a message. We will, sorry?
Record meetings.
We record the meetings. We have teacher assistants. So a lot of those become our go-to method as well. So that's really to deal with technological issues. All right, we have, ladies and gentlemen, come to the end of this fantastic webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and wish you, great abundance, a lot of joy, and just the ability to be totally comfortable with this uncertainty and know that we will come out of this fine. Yeah. God bless you. Bye bye. And if you are, remember we said we'll invite them?
Yeah.
If you're ever in Ahmedabad, you should have a coffee at Riverside. All right?
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.